Paige Beckers. But at the end of the day, we still get some Fever basketball. Now, with all that being said, this current clip right here is going viral. Correlation stated they all got to play better. That's nice to say, but we haven't seen that yet. Depression, CCAKG stated Natasha Howard on being Caitlin Clark teammate. Now, let's play this clip right here, man, and I want to know you guys' thoughts. Listen to this.
Were you excited to play with Caitlin?
I was.
Yeah. So talk about that. Your first impressions of her?
My first impression of her when I first seen them, like, dang, like, this is what everybody's talking about right here. Yeah. This girl right here. Just getting to know Caitlin more and stuff like that. Like, she reminds me of a little sister. Cause she's only 22 years old. Like, she reminds me of a little sister that I could put on my wing and just guide her and just be that vet for her and just let her know, like, you're not alone with this. I got your back, like, no matter what, like, cause we know you got a lot of stuff on your shoulders right now. Like, let me take some of that off your shoulder for you. Like, you don't got to do everything for your own.
Okay. So you competed against her, but now you're her teammate. So I'm curious, like, what are you learning now that you're getting, for lack of a better, a courtside seat to what she does shoulder and what she does experience, but also her as a basketball player?
She experienced a lot because she's like everybody know that she can shoot the heck out the ball and she could pass, but just letting her know that you don't have to do everything.
That right there is the quote that has her in hot water. Now, I feel where she's coming from.
Natasha Howard just lit a fire, and this time she may have torched the whole house. What looked like a simple hug may have just exposed a fracture so deep it could rip the Indiana Fever apart from the inside. It happened in the middle of a tense showdown against the Connecticut Sun. The air was already thick with intensity, emotions were running high, and the spotlight, as always, was on Caitlin Clark. Then, in a flash, it happened. Marina Mabrey, known for her physical style of play, charged into Clark and shoved her violently to the hardwood. It wasn't a foul, it was a statement, one that left Clark curled up on the floor, gasping, stunned, and clearly in pain. The entire arena froze.
Now, with all of that being said, we know Caitlin Clark is currently hurt. They are set to face off against the Dallas Wings possibly in the next hour or so. But there is some headlines, man. This time it's in regards to one of her teammates, and that is Natasha Howard. Now, Natasha Howard really ain't been in the news too much, man. She's been balling out. It looked like she's been staying out the way. She don't say too much online either to make the headlines, but one thing I can say, this time she definitely did. Now, I get what she was trying to say, but it's a lot of people on here that is mad. Let's head on over to X and check it all out right now, man. And I hope everybody's having a great day. It's kind of unfortunate Caitlin Clark won't be facing off against
consistent, and we got to lean on each other. And I think that we've kind of wavered a little bit on that. We have our own islands, but as one of the leaders on the team, I got to do a better job of grouping people, right? In the fourth, it's going to kill us, right? Like they scored 35 points, I think you guys said. That just cannot happen. Can't happen.
I hate saying this, but this does not sound like it's a team. We have our own islands, and I understand on every single team. Team players and teammates are going to be different. People are going to get on with better with some people than others. But at the end of the day, if it's a bad enough thing that one of your players is coming out and saying it needs to change,
Fans in the stands stood in disbelief. Broadcasters fell silent. Even teammates on the bench looked unsure of how to respond. But one player didn't hesitate. Sophie Cunningham, the veteran forward, sprang into action. She didn't hesitate, didn't glance at the scoreboard, didn't wait for the whistle. She rushed toward Clark with fire in her eyes, not just to check on her fallen teammate, but to confront Mabrey directly. In that moment, Sophie didn't just act like a teammate, she acted like a leader. But then came the moment that changed everything. As Clark struggled to get back up, and as the world watched to see who would stand beside her, Natasha Howard stepped forward. Not toward Clark, not toward Cunningham, but straight toward Marina Mabrey. She reached out, wrapped her arms around her, and pulled her in for a hug, a full embrace. She smiled, she laughed, as if this was just another friendly bump between old friends.
Sophie Cunningham goes in the post-game press conference and confirms what we've all known all along. This locker room is split, and she uses the term different islands going on in this locker room. It turns out that Christy Sides and all of those toilet paper mummy activities, all those scavenger hunt activities, the wiffle ball coming back from the Olympic break, it turned out that those stupid games actually played a big part along with Erica Wheeler's veteran leadership, keeping this locker room, keeping this team together. We got no Erica Wheeler. We got no Christy Sides, the chaperone. We got none of that. And Sophie Cunningham confirms what we've all known all along.
It wasn't. That hug stunned the locker room. It stunned the fans. And most importantly, it stunned Caitlin Clark. Because in the world of professional sports, some gestures speak louder than any press conference ever could. And in that moment, Natasha Howard didn't just hug an opponent, she hugged the one who had just assaulted the heart of her own team. For many, it wasn't a hug, it was betrayal. And now, the backlash is coming fast. Sophie Cunningham, never one to hide behind rehearsed statements or canned answers, stepped up to the microphone after the game. And what she said didn't just ignite headlines, it revealed a storm that's been brewing for weeks inside the Indiana Fever locker room. "We're just a bunch of islands right now," she said with quiet frustration. "Everyone's doing their own thing. There's no unity, no leadership."
Quote, "They should suspend Marina Mabrey for the rest of the season, to be honest. Marina Mabrey deserves a lifetime ban from the WNBA. Mabrey should be ejected," a third fan declared. "Refs need to be reprimanded. Luckily, Cece didn't get hurt being shoved like that. The league needs to suspend Mabrey. If not, it could get ugly."
Letting her know that you don't have to do everything.
Now that right there is the quote that has her in hot water. Now, I feel where she's coming from.
You have to do in Iowa. Like you have great teammates and phenomenal players around you that could take that weight off your shoulder. You don't have to do everything. Like we expect you to knock down those clutch shots. Like that's what we expect you to do. But like overall, like you don't have to do everything. Like you don't. Like
Yeah.
Like let us give us some of your pressure too. Like so you don't have to do too much and overwork yourself.
Yeah.
That wasn't just a vent, it was a full-on warning, and it was aimed directly at head coach Stephanie White. Cunningham didn't dance around the issue. She pointed the finger squarely at White, accusing her of allowing this fractured, individualistic culture to grow unchecked. According to Sophie, White's hands-off approach has created a team where players act like freelancers instead of a family, a locker room where silence is the norm and accountability is a myth. Insiders are now echoing the same message. Stephanie White is distant, physically and emotionally. She's often locked in her office, rarely speaks to players one-on-one. Practices, mostly run by assistants. Strategy meetings, described as copy-pasted sessions using old footage. There's no fire, no cohesion, no soul. And when things explode, like they did with Mabrey's cheap shot, White doesn't step in to calm the storm. She just watches. She waits. She hopes someone else will clean up the mess. And that, Cunningham suggests, is how a team loses its identity.
Where Natasha Howard decides that she'd rather rub up on Ezi Magdeburg's leg. I don't know what's going on. Oh, that was Nneka Ogwumike, excuse me. She checks out Nneka. Oh, Nneka, are you okay? Are you okay, sweetie pie? Are you doing okay? Much more care, much more concern, much more worry than anytime Caitlin Clark's been knocked to the ground, anytime Aaliyah Boston's been punked, anytime Lexi Hull's been beat up, Sophie Cunningham's been beat up. More concern about somebody on the other team than from her own team. Very interesting, Natasha Howard. Natasha Howard, she couldn't walk away. She couldn't find it in her to walk away. In fact, Gabby Williams said, "Natasha, you know this isn't your team, right?" She gives her a little touch. She's like, "Get out of here." Get out of here. So salute to Acca Nation for bringing that to everybody's attention. I know we saw that live, but I didn't see any videos about that. And that piggies back and goes into what we are going to be talking about today. Sophie Cunningham, in the post-game interview, speaks on this team and the islands within the locker room. Let's take a listen right here.
How do you bond and stay together during this rough patch?
Yeah, I think so far this season we've had a lot of distractions, you can call it, some injuries. Don't know who's playing. And so there's just a lot of distractions, but I think that's really good for us. Let's go through the adversity early. Let's learn from it. Good news is we're not going to peak too early. So, I mean, that's a positive. But I think it's not an excuse. Everyone's playing a back-to-back. Everyone has this kind of rough schedule. For us, we get another opportunity tomorrow, and we got to capitalize on it. Dallas is a team that's hungry for a win. And we talk about this. We are circled on everybody's schedule. No one likes us, right? So everyone in our locker room, that's the only type of people that we have that we can lean on, and we got to be better in that area. We have got to stay disciplined. We have to stay focused. We need to get consistent, and we got to lean on each other. And I think that we've kind of wavered a little bit on that. We have our own islands, but as one of the leaders on the team, I got to do a better job of grouping people, right? In the fourth. It's going to kill us, right? Like they scored 35 points, I think you guys said. That just cannot happen. Can't happen. Or if they do, then we need to be scoring 35, 36, 37 points. So we just got to be better from top to bottom. But the schedule thing, that's...
When leaders disappear, chaos fills the void, and that's exactly what's happening in Indiana. In sports, physicality is part of the game. Fouls happen, tempers flare, but every now and then, something happens that goes beyond competition. That's what this was. Caitlin Clark wasn't just fouled, she was targeted. And when that kind of moment occurs, players look around. They watch how their team reacts. They measure loyalty in seconds. Does someone rush in? Does someone speak up? Does anyone have their back? For Clark, only Sophie did. And that's where Natasha Howard's hug turned from uncomfortable to unforgettable. That hug was broadcast live, replayed in slow motion, shared across thousands of social media timelines, and everyone drew the same conclusion. If hugging the enemy is normal, what does loyalty even mean anymore? To Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hull, and the rest of the roster, it said, hurting the franchise player comes without consequence. To Clark, it said, protect yourself. You're alone here. And to Sophie Cunningham, it screamed, your effort was a solo mission. That's what Cunningham couldn't stomach. She risked a technical, risked the wrath of officials to do what teammates are supposed to do, stand up for each other. But when she turned around, she didn't see a team. She saw strangers. And worst of all, she saw one of her own laughing with the enemy. The metaphor Sophie used wasn't accidental. A bunch of islands. That's not just poetic, it's surgical. Players say team meetings are short, surface level, and cold. Conversations feel like transactions. Stephanie Island has become a running joke inside the facility, one that stings more than it entertains. There's no glue holding this group together, and it shows on the court.
So today, lads, we're going to be talking about the Sophie Cunningham situation. We're going to be talking about what she said after the game, and realistically, I was going to talk about this last night, but I was just dead. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning. I didn't want to talk about it. And a lot of people are talking about this point. We're circling everyone's schedule. No one likes us. Everyone in our locker room. Like, there's one really concerning thing that Sophie Cunningham said. So we're going to listen through the whole thing and I'm going to give my opinion on it. And I don't know exactly where this footage came from. But,
Bond and stay together during this rough patch.
Yeah, I think so far this season we've had a lot of distractions, you can call it, some injuries. Don't know who's playing. And so there's just a lot of distractions, but I think that's really good for us. Let's go through the adversity early. Let's learn from it. Good news is we're not going to peak too early. So, I mean, that's a positive.
I mean, I guess she's not wrong with that one.
But I think it's not an excuse. Everyone's playing a back-to-back. Everyone has this kind of rough schedule. For us, we get another opportunity tomorrow, and we got to capitalize on it. Dallas is a team that's hungry for a win. And we talk about this. We are circled on everybody's schedule. No one likes us, right? So everyone in our locker room, that's the only type of people that we have that we can lean on, and we got to be better in that area. We have got to stay disciplined. We have to stay focused. We need to get consistent, and we got to lean on each other. And I think that we've kind of wavered a little bit on that. We have our own islands, but as one of the leaders on the team, I got to do a better job of grouping people, right? In the fourth. It's going to kill us, right? Like they scored 35 points, I think you guys said. That just cannot happen. Can't happen.
But what I'm really concerned about is this right here. This point here.
Discipline. We have to stay focused. We need to get consistent, and we got to lean on each other. And I think that we've kind of wavered a little bit on that. We have our own islands, but
that's not good. That's not good to hear. She's basically as good as said, we need to get, we just need to get better at at being teammates.
End of game collapses are now routine. Missed switches, players freelancing, confused timeouts. The chaos we see during crunch time isn't just random, it's a symptom of something deeper, something structural. When no one knows what the coach wants and no one trusts the player beside them, every close game becomes a gamble. And more often than not, the Fever lose that gamble. Fans see it in the scoreboard, but insiders see it in the silence, in the side eyes, in the post-game locker room where veterans keep to themselves and rookies have no one to follow. And now, even the basic code, defend your teammate, seems optional. The hug wasn't the start of the problem, it was the final warning, the tip of an iceberg that's been forming all season. And unless someone takes control fast, this ship is headed for disaster. Stephanie White has a choice. She can keep preaching culture in press conferences, or she can build it in real life. Because right now, there's no culture, only chaos, no chemistry, only conflict, and no team, only isolated stars playing on islands. This isn't about one game, or one foul, or one hug. It's about a team that's unraveling before our eyes, and a leader who's been too quiet for too long. Cunningham has raised the red flag.
But at the end of the day, if it's a bad enough thing that one of your players is coming out and saying it needs to change, clearly it's not a good thing. Clearly it is having some effect. How much of an effect, we don't know. We're not in the locker room. But they never said that last year. It was never said, like, she's not questioning the locker room. Not saying there's locker room issues, because there's a big difference between a locker room not being super close and there not being issues. And everything about the Fever last year was protect the locker room, protect the locker room, protect the locker room. And it doesn't sound like the locker room's in a good spot.
Loud. Public. Unapologetic. Now all eyes are on White. Will she enforce a standard that says, we protect each other no matter what? Or will she send a message that says, every woman for herself? If she picks the latter, it won't just be Caitlin Clark who starts checking out. It'll be the fans, the locker room, the entire season. This is the moment where everything changes or nothing does. This story isn't about drama. It's about what loyalty really means in pro sports. It's about what kind of culture you build when the cameras aren't rolling. So now we ask you, did Natasha Howard cross the line? Was Sophie Cunningham right to call it all out? And should Coach Stephanie White finally step up or step aside? Let us know what you think in the comments. Smash the like button if you want more real, raw, behind-the-scenes stories like this. And don't forget to subscribe, because at Outta Bonds, we don't sugarcoat it. We break the truth wide open. The Indiana Fever are at a crossroads. And one hug may have just decided which road they take.